Welcome back to The Explainer. Have you ever just read an email, seen an ad, or maybe listened to a pitch and felt this totally inexplicable pull to take action? Like, logically, you weren't quite sure why, but you just had to click? Well, today, we're diving into the hidden language of human psychology to learn how to decode those hidden messages we're bombarded with every single day and uncover the psychological matrix that really drives human behavior. Right off the bat, ask yourself this. Are you a passive reader or are you an active translator? When you're scrolling and consuming information online, do you just absorb the literal words on the screen and accept them at face value? Or do you actively translate the hidden motives and the deep emotional triggers woven right beneath those words? By the end of this explainer, we're going to make sure you are firmly in that second category.
To give you a real psychological decoder ring today, we're going to quickly map out the lizard brain filter, the language of subtext, decoding the big four emotions, and finally, how you can actually master active reading. Let's get right into it.
Part 1. The lizard brain filter. We're looking at how your mind basically acts as a biological bouncer.
Okay, so here's a wild contrast. When someone crafts a message, they're usually using their prefrontal cortex, the highly logical, analytical part of the brain that loves to organize facts. But, and this is a huge disconnect, that message is actually consumed by the reader's primitive emotional core, the lizard brain. These two sides are literally speaking entirely different languages. Logic builds the message, sure, but raw emotion is what ultimately decides if you're even going to pay attention to it.
So how does this biological bouncer actually work? Well, your lizard brain is super skeptical, and honestly, it's incredibly lazy. Its main job is just to conserve your energy, so it desperately wants to categorize every single new thing you encounter into 3 simple buckets. Is this a threat? Is it food? Or can I just ignore it? If an email looks exactly like 100 others you've seen today, your brain just slaps an ignore label on it so it can go back to resting. In the world of communication, categorization is absolute death to attention. If you sound like everyone else, you are practically invisible.
Which brings us to part 2, the language of subtext and how communicators manage to slip right past that lazy bouncer.
You see, the pros don't get past the bouncer using big, fancy vocabulary or some super complex logical argument. They do it using subtext. Think of subtext as this invisible, emotional language flowing right beneath the written words. It completely bypasses your brain's logical defenses and taps directly into your deepest desires, fears, and insecurities.
So, if you take nothing else away from this, remember this crucial point. In the world of persuasion, the literal words typed on the page matter way less than the subliminal, emotional message they're secretly carrying. It is literally never just about what you say. It is 100% about what you communicate.
All right, part 3, decoding the big four. This is your NSPB psychological decoder ring. This breaks down our decoder matrix perfectly. Basically, every highly persuasive message out there fundamentally boils down to 4 master emotions: new, easy, safe, or big. And each one of these has a powerful alter ego that kicks it into overdrive. Let's break down exactly how these hack that lizard brain of ours.
First up is new, and its alter ego only. This is the absolute foundation. Remember how we said categorization is death to attention? Well, if you hit the brain with something it's literally never seen before, it can't categorize it. Boom, instant attention. Plus, presenting a completely novel disruption gives people hope. If they've failed at something a dozen times, a new or only exclusive solution gives them that spark of hope that, hey, maybe this time things will actually be different.
Next, we have easy, along with its trusty alter ego, anybody. It turns out this emotion is basically a psychological soothing mechanism. It directly targets 2 massive hurdles: our natural laziness and our deep-seated insecurities. By framing something as a push-button system, or saying literally anybody can do this, it comforts the part of us that hates hard work and totally silences that nagging inner voice whispering, "I'm not smart enough to pull this off."
Then we've got safe, and its alter ego predictable. Look, humans are biologically hardwired to avoid risk. Psychological studies show time and time again that we'd actually rather avoid losing something than gain something of the exact same size. So, when a message uses track records or guarantees to make an outcome feel completely safe and predictable, its perceived value just skyrockets, because that huge fear of loss is totally taken off the table.
And rounding out the big 4 is big. Big demands your attention because it promises this massive life-altering shift, but its alter ego, fast, is the real turbocharger here. Promising a massive result is cool, but promising it overnight? That triggers serious FOMO, the fear of missing out.
It hits our craving for instant gratification right on the nose.
Let's look at how this plays out in the wild. Check out a phrase like the hottest IPO in history, paired with warning, limited spots available. This is beautifully translating the subtext of big and fast straight into your emotional core. It's not just stating a fact, it's practically screaming that there is a colossal opportunity, and if you don't jump on it literally right now, you are going to be left in the dust. That is pure FOMO in action.
Now, flip the script to a totally different emotion. Think about those lineups of major media and news logos you see on websites. Those aren't just pretty decorations. They are explicitly there to shout, safe and predictable. When your skeptical lizard brain sees those trusted authority symbols, it immediately drops its guard. The silent subtext is simply, relax, you don't have to worry, this is established, trusted, and totally safe.
Which leads us to our final section, Part 4, Mastering Active Reading and Making Yourself Immune to this kind of manipulation.
The whole goal here is a massive mindset shift. We have to stop being passive consumers who just blindly absorb content and take the text at face value. We need to become active readers. An active reader intentionally hunts for the subtext. When they look at a paragraph, they don't just read words, they see the underlying emotional strings the writer is trying to pull. It is honestly like seeing the digital code falling behind the matrix.
So how do you actually get good at this? Well, there's this great saying, if you want to learn Spanish, don't read books about Spanish, read Spanish. And the exact same logic applies to decoding subtext. The absolute best way to master this is just pure immersion. You've got to look at the media, the ads, the emails all around you every single day and actively practice translating them. Here's a quick step-by-step checklist to get you started. Every time you open an email, run it through this filter. First, spot the hook. What's the disruptor that actually caught your eye? Second, identify the core emotion. Are they leaning on new, easy, safe, or big? Third, ask the golden question. What's in it for me? Any good message is going to answer that immediately. And finally, translate the true subtext. Ask yourself what they are actually trying to make your lizard brain feel in that exact moment. So, as we wrap this explainer up, keep your active reading toolkit handy. Remember that your biological bouncer hates working and loves to categorize. Always, always search for the invisible subtext, not just the plain text. Use your NASB decoder ring to spot those emotional angles. And never forget that a message only works if it clearly tells you exactly what is in it for you. Once you start looking at the world through this lens, I promise you are never going to look at daily communication the same way again. I'm going to leave you with a quick challenge. As soon as this explainer ends, pull up the very next email that lands in your inbox, or the next article in your feed. Don't just skim it. Analyze it. Are they trying to make you feel new, easy, safe, or big? Decode that subtext and take your attention back. Thanks for joining me today, and keep actively translating the world around you.